Two car makers just broke the rules of EVs, and one of them might have made fake gears feel better than the real thing. Here's what no one's telling you about why an EV that pretends to shift might actually be smarter and more fun. This isn't a spec dump. This is the story of why Hyundai made the Ioniq 5N talk like a rally car and shift like a DCT, and why Honda looked at that idea and said, cool, now let's make it feel natural. By the end, you'll know how the fake stuff works under the hood, where it helps, where it's cheesy, and which brand currently has the better recipe for your brain, your right foot, and your battery. And yes, there's a twist in the middle that flips the usual more power is better thinking on its head. The Ioniq 5N was the first mainstream EV that went all in on theater without apologizing for it. It brought simulated upshifts and downshifts that moved the torque in steps like a real 8-speed, pedal downshifts that slam you with regen and a little kick in the back, and engine-like sounds mapped to motor speed so your ears and hands agree on what the car is doing. A big red and green boost button that says 15 seconds of chaos. Car people loved it because it had rhythm. You could time corners, you could nail exits. Your brain finally had a soundtrack and a pattern to ride along with, which a lot of EVs still don't give you. Then Honda showed up with a very different energy. Not louder, smarter. Honda said, what if the pretend gear teach you better throttle control? What if the boost isn't a party trick, but a clean, repeatable surge you can count on it in traffic? That's the promise people are buzzing about. Less cosplay, more control. Now let's clear the air. The motor in an EV doesn't need gears like a gas engine. A big part of EV pride is that smooth, one-speed whoosh. So why are we adding pretend shifts and fake revs? Because your body likes patterns. Because timing matters, because the fastest lap isn't always the one with the most power. It's the one where your brain is ahead of your car. That's what Hyundai invented for masses and what Honda is trying to refine, which turned a silent, slippery surge in a beat you can follow. There's a science-wide term called sensory congruence. Fancy word, simple idea. When your ears, eyes, and inner ear agrees on what's happening, you feel confident. If the sound says downshift, the pitch rises, the diesel bumps, and the nose dips. Your brain says, yep, grip, rotate, go. If everything is smooth and flat, you can still drive fast, but you don't get the same rhythm. Hyundai's Move gives you a drummer in your head. Honda's Move hands you a metronome and says, let's play this clean. How the Ioniq 5N actually shifts. Let's break it into tiny pieces so it clicks. The car knows the motor RPM and the wheel speed. It pretends there are gear ratios. When you shift, it changes the torque output in a step and blips the sound to match. The regen and traction control also get a quick nudge so car squats a hair and your body feels a thump. Result is your hands, ears, and butt all feel a shift even though nothing mechanical moved. It's not magic, it's clever mapping. Honda looked at that and said, cool, but it should teach the driver. So the word you keep hearing around Honda's approach is consistency. Boost that less dramatic but more predictable. Simulated ratios that are spaced so the car lands in the right torque. Sounds that are less race game and more feedback, you can run them quiet and still get the rhythm. Honda's idea is that fake can be useful if it lowers your stress and builds muscle memory. You get the cues you need without the drama you don't. Now, all of this pretend shifting would feel silly if regenerative braking didn't join the party. Here's why it matters. Downshift paddles can grab more regen, which slows the car and pushes power back into the battery. A good mapping makes the deceleration smooth at the start and stronger near the end, like a real engine brake so the car settles into the corner. The system also protects the battery. If the pack is cold or full, it limits regen, then the downshift still changes torque so The system also protects the battery. If the pack is cold or full, it limits the regenerative braking. Then the downshift still changes the torque so your rhythm stays intact. The last part is important. It keeps the feel consistent even when the battery says not today. Power gets headlines, timing wins laps. In a fast corner, you want a clear beat. Brake, rotate, throttle. A big surge with a no pattern makes it easy to over-rotate or understeer. A step torque curve, fake or real, gives you runs on a ladder. You climb out, not jump and pray. The Ioniq 5N is like fireworks, quick hands, lots of grinds. Honda's take is same ladder, fewer fireworks, easier to repeat. Now forget the track for a second. Think daily life. You're trying to merge into a tight gap. You need a clean burst from 30 to 60 without wheel hop. You want to time the throttle with that opening between two cars. This is where Honda's predictability pitch lands. A smooth, repeatable boost you can trust is less tiring than a hold on to your latte rocket switch. You don't need drama, you need certainty. Hyundai's fun button is amazing for a grin. Honda's flow is amazing when you're late to work. Okay, but is it perfect? Short answer, no tech is perfect. Long answer, Honda nailed some things Hyundai didn't, and Hyundai still does a couple of things better. So where does Honda win? It wins at consistency. The boost ramps feel even, not spiky. It has a better learning curve. The rhythm is easy to read, your right foot relaxes, it has an everyday vibe. It's fun without making you the main character in a car. Where Hyundai still shines. Theater, it's a show, and show slaps. Feedback volume. The car talks loud. You always know what mode you're in, which is great. The grip games, the chassis tuning and differential tricks give real corner exit bites. Which one perfected it depends on what you want. If your idea of fun is carving lines with focus, Honda's calmer map might feel like the evolution. If your idea of fun is scaring your friends in the passenger seat, Hyundai still eats. Here's the challenge both brands face. Battery physics doesn't care about vibes. If your pack is cold, hot, or nearly full, charging and regenerative braking limits change. That means your downshift might not bite as hard, or your boost might flatten. And if the soundtrack says roar, but the battery says no, you get a weird mismatch that breaks your trust. This is where the tuning is hard. Keep the feel even when the battery is moody. Honda's answer is to bias everything towards repeatability. Hyundai's answer is to keep the fun loud but still manage limits in the background. Two different philosophies solving in the same physics problem. The battery management system is the referee. It decides how much current the motor can pull right now, how much regenerative braking the pack can take without damage, how hard you can boost before temps get spicy. A great BMS map can hide the limits and keep the rhythm. A sloppy one turns game changer into game lag. This is the part you can't see in the brochure, but you feel it in your wrist after a long drive. You might think all this fake shifting must be inefficient. It depends. If the shift causes you to spike power and slip the tires, yes, you waste energy. But if the rhythm helps you modulate throttle and regen more cleanly, you might use less energy because you stop overdriving. Again, this is the split. Hyundai makes you laugh. Honda tries to make you smooth. Smooth is usually efficient. Now let's paint two scenes. Track day. You're pushing hard. The Ioniq 5N's loud cues help that fit the timing. You click paddles, get the shove, and the car talks back. You attack the next bend like you have known the car for years. It's a blast. In your Tuesday commute, you're late. You need clean merges and predictable gaps. Honda's calm, repeatable boost and neat torque steps keep your brain quiet. You arrive with a lower heart rate, not a coffee stain on your hoodie. Same problem, two different moods, both are valid. If you have driven manuals, Hyundai's rhythm is instantly familiar. If you grew up on automatics or EVs, Honda's suppler ratios might be easier. Think of it like this. Ioniq 5N says, let's pretend it's a rally car. Honda says, let's teach your foot a bit. If you plan to daily the car and maybe do a fun drive on the weekend, the second one might stick longer. Yes, some people hate fake noises. Totally fair. But sound isn't just a flex, it's data. Your ears can tell you tiny changes in speed and load faster than your eyes can read a gauge. The trick is keeping the sound honest. Hyundai chooses volume, Honda chooses clarity. Neither is wrong. One is louder, one is clearer. Will using boost and downshift all the time hurt your battery? I think not if the BMS is doing its job. Both approaches sit on top of strict limits. When temperatures climb or the pack is stressed, the car quietly pulls the reins. You still get the feel, you don't get the full shove. If anything happens, the regenerative downshifting habit might help a bit because you recover more energy and brake less. We just entered a new chapter. EVs that don't apologize for wanting to be playful. The old EV pitch was silent, smooth, fast, and the new pitch is engaging, rhythmic, and still efficient. We should expect more brands to copy this. Some louder, some softer. The winning version won't be the flashiest. The winning version won't be the flashiest. It will be the one that keeps your brain relaxed at speed and your battery is happy in the summer heat. There's a point, usually on a familiar back road, where your hands stop thinking and your right foot just dances. You lift, the car rotates, you squeeze, it steps through a pretend gear, and you feel the front bite as the rear settles. The sound rises a notch and not obnoxious, just enough to mark the beat. You're not fighting speed, you're surfing it. Hyundai gave people that feeling first with a grin. Honda's trying to bottle it for the everyday. That's the key moment for both. The instant the fake stuff stops feeling fake and starts feeling helpful. So, did Honda perfect it? They perfected a version of it. The do this everyday version. The version that trades fireworks for flow, trades instant bragging rights for long-term trust. If you want to giggle and scare your friend, Hyundai is still in the body. If you want your commute feel like you're playing a rhythm, Honda's finesse is hard to beat. The truth is both are right. Hyundai started the wave, Honda is shaping the curve. And we all get to ride it. If you want a car that talks loud and turns everyone on a ramp into a TikTok clip, you should choose Ioniq 5N. If you want a car that whispers the right beat and makes your lines clear, Honda's approach is the best. And if you hate anything, disable the sound, keep your step torque for a rhythm, and you might still love it. If you hate fake anything, disable the sound, keep the step torque for a rhythm, and you might still love it. And after all, if you care about battery life, use preconditioning, don't camp at 100% and let the BMS do its job. The fun modes won't cook your pack. If you're new to fast EVs, start with the calmer map. Learn the rhythm. If you miss the drama, crank up the effect. It's easier to add spices later than to unlearn a heavy right foot that confuses traction control and wastes energy. And for you, if your friend says it's fake, ask them how many modern gas cars pipe engine sound into the cabin. Most of the real soundtrack has been fake for years. We just didn't know or didn't care. The only question that matters is, does it help you drive better? If yes, it's a good technology. The Hyundai showed the world that EV can be silly and serious at the same time. Honda took the same toys and made them useful in rush hour. This isn't about who copied who. It's about who made your brain and battery happiest at the end of a long day. Right now, if I had to pick which one perfected the feel for daily use, Honda's steadier hand gets the nod. But the gap is small, and the next software update could flip it. Want to go deeper without the hype? If you're curious how the car actually decides how hard can I push right now, that's the BMS. It juggles temperature, state of charge, resistance, and a dozen safety rules. It's the real reason your boost sometimes feels different on a cold morning. It's also the reason these pretend shifts can feel real. The limits are tight, but the mapping is smooth. Here's the super simple way to fill your BMS without tools. On a warm day with 50 to 70% state of charge battery, do a short pull, fill the step, check how quickly the car settles. Do the same at 90% or at 10%. On a cold morning, you'll feel the car protect itself. Great tuning keeps the rhythm even when the power changes. That's the magic trick. Now, this playbook is too good to ignore. Expect more brands to offer multiple simulated gear sets, sport, daily, and vet. Expect boost that adapts to battery health and never feels different day to day. And expect sounds you can barely hear but still read as data. When that all lands, the old EVs are boring line dies for good. Grab the BMS course in the description to really understand what your car is doing when you hit the boost. Link is in the description. Thank you.